What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. It's my displeasure to announce today that the media is having a unequivocal meltdown over poor treatment from Pierre Poilievre. Now, what are we talking about here today? Well, freedom of the press, freedom of expression. I think it's time we delve into the dark layers of what Pierre Poilievre has shamefully, don't worry, I'm just joking. I was going to say shamefully doing to these folks, but we're gonna get into it today, folks. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you've joined the channel recently. We're trying to build our base, and to be honest, the censorship is at an all-time high. YouTube has been doing everything to crush these videos. Um, they don't want our communities growing. Follow all political commentators that you follow on this platform if you want to get the news that you need going into this election. Let's take a look at what's happening with Pierre Poilievre. You guys are going to have a good laugh at this one. The hypocrisy is astounding. Kim tweeting out here, this is just gross. How can you hold those in positions of power to account if questions are restricted or not even allowed? This is not how democracy works. You'd think she was talking about Mark Carney. But let's take a look at what's tweeted out here about Pierre Poilievre and his terrible, terrible display of behavior on the campaign trail. I can't even say it with a straight face. Watch CBC's Evan Dyer reports on how Pierre Poilievre is treating Canadian media on the campaign trail. It seems like Pierre Poilievre is more concerned with vetting reporters' questions than his own conservative candidates. Guys, come on. Let's take a brief look, okay?
Say that this is our last day with the Conservative campaign, and we have faced some very tough message control from the party. Not only breaking with tradition in the sense that we are not allowed to accompany the campaign, but also we've seen great control over the questions. We have not been allowed to ask any questions during the week that we've been with the Conservatives. Today we made an effort to get a question. And
so before he finishes, I just want to state, now, there's probably a good reason Pierre doesn't want them accompanying him on the plane. One, to keep costs down. Second of all, could you imagine having to spend multiple hours with these woke lunatics on a plane asking questions about diversity, equity, inclusion, uh, virtue signaling? I think Pierre just wants his sanity. Let's continue.
they told us that we could ask one, but that it had to be my colleague Tom Parry who asked the question. We responded that I was the one who had the question and we preferred that I asked it. At that point, they took our question away and gave it to another outlet. We've also seen efforts to find out what reporters are going to ask, to pressure them to reveal what their question will be before the news conference. And of course, that's asked before the party decides who gets to ask a question. And we've also seen some fairly heavy-handed treatment by Conservative Party staffers, including some pushing and shoving, as we saw on the public wharf at Petty Harbour in Newfoundland. So
first off, I want to address this misinformation. I love that word. We're going to start throwing it back at them. The misinformation that goes on here to say Pierre Poilievre, his people demanding that the questions that are going to be asked be told up front. There's actually a reason for that. The reason those people ask for those questions, the reason that any pressers ask for those questions, and what they're failing to put out here is that the Liberals do the same thing. The NDP do the same thing. It's because there's only so much time allotted for questions during a press conference. They want to know if you're wasting their time or not. They want to know if you're there to virtue signal. They want to know if you're just going to be there heckling Pierre, or if you actually have a reasonable question to ask him, as his time is very valuable while he's on the campaign trail. This happens again with the Liberals. It happens with the NDP. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, reporters very upset with Pierre Poilievre. He's just completely irrational. He won't allow them to ask the questions they want to ask. And, well, you've never seen this happen before in politics. I think Pierre is just doing something utterly shameful here.
Wait a minute!
Wait a minute, indeed. You know what's funny about all of this? I hope you guys can hear the sarcasm when we're talking negatively about Pierre. Here is a Mark Carney rally that recently happened, and I've got a million of these. We've got a million examples to put the mainstream prostitutes in their place. But let's use a recent incident so that they understand that this is always happening and that it's frequent and it's on the campaign trail. Journalist David Menzies gets kicked out of a parking lot at Mark Carney's election event. Do you think Menzoid was wearing, if he was wearing a kifa instead of his hat, he'd be allowed to stay? Democracy was nice while it lasted. Here we go. David Menzies. This comes from Kareem Assad. Amazing reporter and lawyer. Karima showing this footage of Menzies being warned in a parking. Now, he was told he couldn't even be on the property. Wait till you see the thuggery that goes on here.
I'm sorry to disturb your interview, Mr. Menzies, but the RCMP is working live with security to come and trespass you and remove you from the property.
Me? I haven't even been told I'm not allowed.
It's all on video.
Sir, well, thank you very much for that, Lee. What do you... Why does Mark Carney shut down freedom of the press?
Hello, it's me again.
Yes, hi, sir.
Hi, sir. How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
My name is Joshua.
Okay. Hi, Joshua.
So you're David Menzies?
I am indeed, yes.
Joshua, before you continue, tell him your Instagram handle.
My security company is Night Hand Defense. Hire me for all your security events.
Oh, are you a security guard?
Yes, I am.
Oh, could I kindly see your security?
I don't know much about him.
Thank you.
I'm a laborer, and I support my county.
He is part of the media.
Okay. But while I'm pulling up my license, sir.
Yes, sir.
You, as David Menzies, are not allowed to be on this property. Unfortunately, they say it's a private event.
Oh, I'm not no intention of going in the venue, sir.
You're not allowed to be, like this right now is all booked. This entire space is booked.
Okay.
It's owned by the building.
Okay.
And they said that you are one of the. There's a couple of people who are not supposed to be here, and you're one of them.
Like I'm an undesirable.
By 1061.
But sir, what harm are... I was just having an interview with this gentleman. We were having a consensual
If you could,
conversation.
on the other side of the fence, continue your interview right there.
Well, I don't want to pull him out of the line here, sir. But I mean, like, really, what harm am I doing by speaking to people?
Sir, there's some people who cannot be here. There's my security license, by the way.
So, I'll give him props. I'll give the security guard props for at least being cordial by saying, here's my license, here's my credentials. But does this not, like, you've got Mark Carney shutting down media, giving media hell, telling people to look inside themselves anytime they question his finances, anytime they ask him anything he doesn't like. You've got him banning media from events, and not just David Menzies. Whether you have a good or bad opinion about David Menzies, I've always seen people in the comments, like bots, that want to scream about David Menzies. Here's the hypocrisy. The poor mainstream prostitutes are upset that Pierre won't let them get free rides on their plane, that he won't take their questions unvetted, that essentially he won't allow them to just run the circus that continues. But nonetheless, they do the same thing. They do the same thing. In fact, they do it worse. They completely remove reporters from events. They tell reporters that they're not allowed to participate. But this is the funny thing about our elections. This is the funny thing about what happens in our elections, is that the one side will say we're the victims while doing just as bad on the other. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think the mainstream prostitutes have a reason to be upset with Pierre? Do you think the conservatives should allow them to just ask whatever they want willy-nilly at these press conferences? Or do you think they're doing the right thing? Let me know your thoughts down below. If you haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit your bell for notifications. Go get your voter cards, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're registered for this election. Get out and vote. It's the most important election of our lifetime. We need to be there full force to make sure we're voting and that it matters. This election, so critical. So critical. Whether you're voting conservative, whether you're voting for somebody else, make sure you do your due diligence as a Canadian citizen. Go and vote in this election. Let's see. Even if things don't work out well for Pierre, I want to see a massive, massive turnout. If we could see above 50% voter turnout, which I know we won't, but please, guys, push for it. I think things could look very well. While you're hitting that subscribe button, turn on your bell for notifications. Join me live here on the channel each and every Friday night for Friday Night Fringe, my live streaming show, where I'm joined by the beautiful Mrs. Fringe as we go back and forth with everything that happened this week in politics, everything that's coming up in the week ahead, as well as hearing from you guys outside of making these videos, the greatest YouTube community on the platform. I look forward to hearing what you have to say outside of making these videos every week, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say this Friday, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.